Our top stories this Wednesday. Water and Sanitation Minister Phemi Majodina is assessing infrastructure at the Vaal Dam. 5 sluice gates have been opened there to control water levels following heavy rainfall. Let's take you now to Newzroom Afrika's Mahlobo, who joins us live from Deneysville in the Free State. Ziniko, from your vantage point, what's the impact of the story? Good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, Michelle. Yes, indeed, the Deputy Minister and the Minister just concluded briefing us in terms of what is it that communities along the riverbanks need to do, but also just the state of the capacity of the dam itself. They are saying that, well, it seems as if the rain has drained up temporarily, but when it comes to the water that's flowing into the Vaal Dam, well, it is still the same wave, or it is still flowing in the same rate as it was. Hence, those 8 sluice gates remain open, but also very strong words, especially for those private owners of dams, saying that, well, government will take harsh actions against those who are not following legal frameworks in terms of how they manage their water. But now I'm joined by the Deputy Minister, Mr. David Mahlobo, just to get more clarity in terms of, Deputy Minister, in terms of the overall picture of how the situation is. One might say, well, it is not raining. It might be safer for me to return back to my home along the riverbanks. What do you have to say to that? But also the possible impact along those who are on the riverbanks in Free State, but also in the Northwest Province.
What we should appreciate is that the country has been having more than the normal average rainfall we received, and it has been spread evenly in different provinces at different times. When it comes to the Vaal River system, the dam itself is supported by additional 14 dams that are coming through here. The fact that we have received a lot of rains over the last 2 months in Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, certain parts of Gauteng, there's a lot of water that is coming through here. And at this stage, our dam has a capacity from an engineering point of view that you must not allow it to go beyond a particular point. It has a capacity of 126% that you can keep. At around the level of 107, 214, like it's 114 now, we started doing the releases. And the water we release here is massive. Imagine releasing 800,000 liters per second, the impact it has. And then it's going down now. There's a structure just downstream of this particular dam. It's called the Vaal Barrage. Is where the system that is managed by rainwater, they too, they've released, and then it goes down through the Vaal River system, which is the river itself. But there are other tributaries, other small rivers that are continuously pumping in water in. Therefore, the message to say, let's be cautious. When there's an alert, there are notices, let's respect them. Let's work with the authorities. But our biggest problem is traditionally people who chose deliberately to be within a flat line. Some of them here in the last few years, they were washed away, they were flooded on the basis that they are just 6 meters, 7 meters within the particular dam. We know that now the rains have not stopped. The predictions were still going to have some rains in many parts of our country, working with weather services. There is going to be Easter holidays, and the churches are going to want to baptize people and other. Those are some of the things that we're looking at.
DM, one will say, well, can we expect, zero water cuts in our cities, in our municipalities, since we are hearing the minister saying that we've got enough capacity? So just explain the relations between bulk water systems such as the Vaal Dam having enough water, but also going to Johannesburg saying that we don't have enough water. Explain that to someone who might not understand the differences there.
There is always a question of that we need to appreciate. There's something called the water source, where water will come from. We know it comes from the rain, which is the rain, the sea, the groundwater. All this water, we keep them into a system called the dams, the canals. Those systems in South Africa, they are in a good position. We have sufficient water. But then there are areas where you can have localized deficit because of the problems of droughts and the other issues. But the main problem we have is that a number of municipalities, their infrastructure is at a stage where they lose this water. In the main Gauteng, we know they are losing more than close to 50%. We give them about 5.2 billion liters a day. We treat the water. And you could see the water running in the streets. Those are the main problems. You go to a Durban, around 60% of water losses. But therefore, the issues of management of infrastructure, stopping the issues of leakages and the inefficiencies will actually improve availability of water to all citizens all the time. Then there's a second category of citizens. There's no tap, there's nothing. And government must move with speed, because those people too, under the sun, must be respected. We must start to put more treatment works, we must put more reservoirs, we must then connect the water in terms of the reticulation system into their own homes. That's how we need to be able to respond, as we said, in the water industry.
You spoke about the issue of private dam owners. What are your concerns, and what have you found that has really led to this strong wording, strong messaging that you issued here with the minister?
The private dam owners were very pleased by those who are operating legally. They have registered their water use, because they need to get an authorization so they can do that. Therefore, they have a biggest obligation that during these climate conditions, when we have more rains that are coming through, they must work with government, work with local government. We work with their association in terms of black farmers and including Agri-SA. Remember, farming and irrigation system, they are the people who are at the center of just keeping information. They are those rain cages, they have the most of the data. Let them manage their dams well. But those who are actually opponents of progress, they do illegal damming. Those dams are not registered. We call them to do so. If they don't, they will have an obligation that we are going to destroy those particular dams, demolish them in terms of the monitoring work that we do. But if we found them without them cooperating with us, and then their dams, they fail on their own, structural failure, they will have to take responsibility around issues of the risk around loss of lives and the loss of livelihoods. And people will have a recourse to take them to task.
We are living in a climate change situation where things are not normal when it comes to when it rains, when it's supposed to rain, during winter, summer, autumn and spring. We are where we are right now. From your intelligence or your research, how long are we likely to be in this situation we are in right now? And what plans has the water department put in place to ensure that we're able to mitigate, even if it goes beyond the expected season?
One of the things that we do, we rely on cooperations among government departments. We work so well with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, where the South African Weather Services is actually housed. We are working with the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation. We have CSIR. They do a lot of modeling. Universities, they do a lot of modeling. We have a lot of data. We just have to spend more effort, like what President was doing with Minister Nzimande yesterday, getting to use issues of technology, giving you real-time data and artificial intelligence, because time when you do the issues of trend analysis, you don't have that sufficient time, because the shift is too much in terms of climate variation. And then our disaster preparedness and response must be at the highest level so that we can be able to do that. One of the things that we'll be pushing now, because going forward, the country, certain parts of the country will receive more rains, certain parts of the country will be more drier. We need to start to build more dams. When it rains, we must catch it. So that one day when there's issues of droughts, the country has more sufficient way of dealing with some of those particular issues. Because if we don't plan, what if we have a drought like it happened in Nelson Mandela?
Lastly, DM, in terms of messaging to the public communities, during the COVID-19 situation, there were systems in place, daily updates in terms of the disasters, potential disasters. Don't you think maybe it's time to really consider those communication platforms for ordinary citizens, not to just depend on mainstream media maybe?
We are under the leadership of the Minister of Culture. All our various departments like water, human settlement, all of us who are there, including the police, who are working so well. I do admit that probably there's still an area of improvement around issues of communication, but also the issues of an informed citizen. An informed citizen that will actually be building resilient communities, that they too must take necessary steps, because government alone will never be able to prepare the country for any eventuality if citizens, they don't play their part, including the necessary legislation. If those who are not cooperating willingly, then there's an element of enforcement.
Thank you very much, DM, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, leadership.
That's the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation here in South Africa, Mr. David Mahlobo, just giving us an insightful update in terms of how things are as far as the water situation is concerned at the Vaal Dam, but also the issue of potential impact on those communities along the riverbanks of the Vaal Dam, but also stating that communities in the Free State and all the way in the Northwest Province might likely be affected by any eventualities that might happen in the next few days, as more rain is expected towards the end of this week and over the weekend. So that's where we are, Michelle, as far as flooding, Vaal Dam situation, but also the impact and the control of water here at the Vaal Dam in Paris.
Mahlobo, thanks very much indeed for that impactful summary of some of the big issues.